The drive back to my family's ranch in Texas should have been a quiet escape after 4 grueling months in Houston. I'd spent those months in a hospital room that reeked of antiseptic, watching my father, Robert, waste away from pancreatic cancer. Diagnosed just after Thanksgiving, he was gone by spring. I'd rented a cramped apartment near the hospital, holding his hand as machines droned and medical bills stacked up like firewood. All I wanted now was to feel the dirt of our family's land under my boots, land that had been ours for 4 generations, bought with my great-grandfather's oil field wages during World War II. But as I turned onto the dirt road my grandfather had graded by hand in 1947, the radio crackled with hurricane warnings for 2024, the worst season in decades. I switched it off, too raw for more bad news. I craved the sight of our old white farmhouse, built by my great-grandfather's hands. Instead, I nearly ran my truck off the road. Where my pasture should have been stood 110 identical houses, sidewalks, driveways, mailboxes, lawns so perfect they looked fake. A suburban mirage had swallowed my land. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. I'd thought no news meant peace, but this was betrayal. No calls, no emails, no warnings while I was drowning in grief. This scale of construction needed permits, workers, planning, and someone had kept it all quiet. I floored the gas toward a sales office at the entrance, its brass sign gleaming. Sunset Ridge Estates, a Margaret Voss development. Luxury living in harmony with nature. Teslas and BMWs filled the lot. Strangers strolled my land, chatting about countertops and school zones like they belonged here. Rage boiled in my chest. This land was Carter land, not for sale, fought for through Dust Bowl evictions and bank threats. I didn't knock on the office door, I kicked it open, the brass nameplate swinging wildly. Inside, a woman in a designer suit looked up from a mahogany desk, her smile cold enough to chill whiskey. Margaret Voss, I presumed, with flawless blonde hair and nails that tapped the desk like a predator's claws. Mr. Carter, I presume. Her voice was silk, laced with venom. We've been expecting you back from Houston. I trust your father's funeral went smoothly. Pancreatic cancer is so hard on families. Her casual mention of my father's death hit like a gut punch. How did she know about Houston? About Dad? You built a neighborhood on my land without permission, I growled. You had no right. Margaret reached into her desk with theatrical calm, pulling out a thick folder of legal papers. Actually, Mr. Carter, we have full documentation. You've been absent for 4 months. She slid a document across the desk, a bill for $50,000. You failed to respond to certified notices about boundary adjustments and community assessments. Texas law is clear on abandoned properties. The bill listed absurd charges: $7,500 for a geological survey, $12,000 for foundation tests, environmental assessments, and administrative fees for my absence. My hands shook as I scanned it, snagging on a signature Dr. Thomas Reed, geological consultant. Something about it looked off, the ink too fresh, the handwriting too perfect, like it was traced. Why charge me for a survey on my own land? And why did Reed's signature look fake? The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, coffee cold, staring at that signature. I dialed the number on Reed's letterhead, heart pounding. A woman answered. Reed Geological Services, this is Lisa. I cleared my throat. I'm calling about a survey Dr. Reed did on my property 2 months ago. I need to verify it. A sharp pause. I'm sorry, sir, but Dr. Reed passed away 6 months ago. Heart attack, right at his desk. My blood froze. 6 months ago, but the signature was dated 8 weeks back. That afternoon, I drove to San Antonio to meet Sarah Martinez, a property dispute lawyer with a reputation for taking on corporate giants. Her office was sharp law books, diplomas, and a desk that screamed money. Sarah, in her early 30s, studied the survey with a detective's focus. I worked 5 years at Marathon Oil, she said, tapping her pen. I know oil industry paperwork, and I know fraud. This isn't a foundation test. It's something bigger. She pulled out a magnifying glass, comparing Reed's signature to older reports. This was traced. See the pauses, the uneven pressure? Someone faked it after Reed died. She spread the drilling report across her desk. They drilled 200 feet deep, claiming it's for house foundations. But homes only need 20, maybe 30 feet. This pattern it's for oil extraction, not construction. Sarah overlaid the report with my family's flood maps, drawn by my great-grandfather after the 1923 flood. The drilling holes aligned perfectly with flood-prone zones. They knew this land floods, she said. This isn't about houses. It's about oil hidden under a fake neighborhood. Margaret's planning to use a hurricane to wash away the evidence. The pieces clicked. 110 houses as a cover, oil extracted in secret, a hurricane to erase the crime. Sarah dug deeper, finding emails from Paul Thompson, a county official. His wife's nail salon had received $200,000 from Voss for consulting, and his county email secured with password 123 revealed a conspiracy. Margaret's plan: acquire land through fraud, extract oil under construction permits, and let a hurricane destroy the evidence. She'd even paid meteorologists to predict the storm's landfall. On September 15, 2024, Hurricane Diana hit, a Category 4 monster with 135 miles per hour winds. I watched from my farmhouse as a gray wall of water obliterated Sunset Ridge estates. Houses vanished in under an hour. Cars floated like toys, streetlights sparked and died. But the storm did more than destroy it. Exposed Margaret's secret. Dawn revealed oil pumps and a 40-foot derrick, hidden under sheds and community centers, scattered like bones. Sarah photographed it all, but the wells were dry. They've been pumping for months, she said. They took every drop before the storm. Margaret had fled to Mexico with $500 million, claiming the hurricane was an act of God. Families from the neighborhood huddled in shelters, their homes gone, insurance claims denied. For 3 weeks, it seemed Margaret had won. The FBI dragged their feet, news stations ignored us, and Paul Thompson sat at home on paid leave. Then Sarah's phone rang. FBI agent Morales from the Economic Crimes Division. Margaret didn't sell crude oil, he said, chuckling. She sold toxic groundwater, contaminated from illegal dumping in the 70s. The Mexican cartel who bought it for $500 million isn't happy. Margaret's greed had blinded her. She'd never tested the wells. Now the FBI and the cartel were hunting her. 4 days later, she was arrested in a Cancun resort bathroom, dyeing her hair with shampoo. Video showed her in handcuffs, her designer dress crumpled. Paul Thompson was arrested shredding files. The oil company backing Margaret settled for $50 million. Sarah joined the FBI as a fraud consultant, and I used the money to restore my land, building a monument, Carter family land, where nature wins. Margaret learned you can bribe officials and fool regulators, but you can't fool the land. The families lost everything, sparking outrage. How could a county approve homes in a flood zone? Some call it justice. Others say it's a tragedy that could have been stopped. What's the wildest property scam you've heard? Share below.